and frontman and music legend Christy Dignam passed away.
While the world mourned the loss of a beloved singer, for his family, they had lost a husband and a dad. And Christy's daughter, Kiera, joins us now this morning. Hi, Kiera, thanks so much for coming in. I was chatting to you there and I was like, how do you feel about coming in? Sometimes you really want to talk about the parent that you've lost and some days you just want to hide away. So tomorrow's the anniversary, the first one. Obviously, it's a big milestone. How have you been over the last couple of weeks as you're heading into it?
The last few months, I've kind of been trying to keep busy and preoccupied and on autopilot. And I was very numb for more or less the last year, but in the last couple of weeks, it's like, because I think a lot of people talk about the roller coaster and hit the waves, and I hadn't really had that over the last year. I'd have a few teary days, but nothing really intense. And I kind of thought, maybe I'm just not that person. Maybe I'm stronger than that kind of thing, but no, it's starting to, it was just a case of it wasn't hitting me, and I think it's starting to now, it's the realisation that he's actually gone. And I'm running out of, like from tomorrow, I'm now running out of this time last year. Because after tomorrow, this time last year, he wasn't here.
I know.
And that's rough.
So difficult. In the last year, obviously his music has been played on the radio, and we see videos popping up as well. Does it put a smile on your face, or do you find it difficult?
To be honest, most days I find it difficult. Some days, a minority of days, I'll enjoy it and I'll sit and I'll listen, but no, most days I really struggle with it. Hearing his voice or an interview, and of course he was so well loved and people want to share a lot about him, and that's lovely, but some days I can't hear it.
I have to ask you about your tattoo as well. You can see there, so it's a little bunny rabbit.
Yeah, so the thing with my dad was he couldn't draw. So when he'd be sitting doodling in the kitchen, he has his little C, he had his little C in the kitchen at the island, and he would always kind of sit, and literally that's all he could draw was that rabbit. So I used to slag him over it because I'm mad into art. And I love drawing. That was something I slagged him over. So every birthday card, every Christmas card, that's what he would draw, would be his rabbit, and then his handwriting. So. And
was that the last card you got from him?
Last birthday card I got from him, yeah.
It must be amazing to have it.
Yeah. And I actually stumbled across the card because I had just put it away, and I stumbled across it just about 2 days after the funeral. I found it, and now that was not a fun day. Obviously, it was a rough week anyway, but when I found it, it was just, oh my God. But I kept the card with me, and I kind of thought, you know what, now obviously I like a tattoo. So I kind of thought, if I was to ever, obviously I'm going to treasure that card, but if I was to ever lose it, I said, at least I have it on my arm now, unless, of course, I lose my arm, which hopefully I don't. But at least I'll have the card.
It's a gorgeous way to remember him. As was the concert that you held from in Vicar Street. You had Imelda, you had Mundy, Damien Dempsey taking part as well.
Yeah.
What was the public support like for that?
Amazing.
And how did it make you guys feel as a family?
We just wanted to celebrate him through music, and like not necessarily his music. It was music he loved to sing. He loved ballads. He loved like the Greenfields of France. He was so well known for. He loved Bowie, things like that. So we wanted to just have music that we felt represented him, and to just kind of remember him, because the funeral and everything was such a. I don't know. I still don't know.
It was mad. I know.
Like, it was amazing to have the support from people. The amount of people that stood out in the rain was unbelievable. But just for us to step back and just to remember him in that way, and through his music and through music that, as I said, he sang and enjoyed. So it was
incredible.
Well, he touched so many people's hearts. He was such an iconic member of Aslan, and as a person as well. Listen, you got a bit of abuse online about people questioning why Aslan weren't there, part of the tribute as well.
Yeah.
You talked about his lies. What did you want to say about that?
I suppose it was kind of a case that there was a disconnect there. My dad didn't speak to them before he died, but that wasn't kind of, without coming across smart, that wasn't the public's business, essentially, for want of a better way of phrasing that. That was something that happened in the background. It was irrelevant to anybody else. But when we announced as a family, we just wanted to have a night for my dad. Yeah. Didn't say anybody would or wouldn't be there. And then there was a statement put out to say that they wouldn't be there, not by me. And then I just got attacked because it was kind of a case of how can he be in a band for 40 years and not have them there? And I totally get that. That makes sense. Of course, if people don't know what went on or know that there was a disconnect there, of course they're going to question that. And that I've no problem with that. But when it got to the point where I was getting threats, I was getting messages, and I mean really bad threats. And as I said, like I'm a grieving daughter who literally just wanted to have a night of celebration for my dad. We shouldn't really have to answer to anybody for that. And I didn't feel I had to answer to anybody for that, but I felt I needed to put a stop to something because, as I said, I was grieving. I have 3 children who are looking at me upset, who are also grieving their granddad, who they were extremely close to. And I'm getting really bad feedback and really bad.
How difficult was it? You're trying to mourn your father.
Yeah, and that's like, there's a very fine line because when you're in the public eye, of course you're going to get negativity and you have to be able to have a thick enough skin to deal with that. But I think people can forget how vulnerable, like I had just lost my dad. And as I said, I'm dealing with my kids and my mum and my husband and my wider circle of family. And I'm then having to take on something that I wasn't any part in. I had nothing to do with. I literally just wanted to have a night to celebrate my dad through music. That's all it was. And it turned into such a negative thing on a small scale from a small number of people. Again, as I said, some people didn't have any clue, and that's fine to question certain things, but there's no need for nastiness, you know, but you can't kind of...
But like, that's the vocal minority. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There are so many people who support you and who just hold your dad so dear in their heart. Let's talk about this relationship you had with Bono and U2, because, you know, the story about your dad getting asked so much about U2 and the rivalry and are Aslan the next U2, so much so that he wrote the management's name down on a card and said, look, if you have questions about you, just ring their management.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But Bono did come and meet your dad.
He did,
towards the end of his life.
Yeah, when he was diagnosed initially, he was in hospital for a long time, and when he came home, a friend of his, Googie, got in touch with us and asked if he could come out, and he came out and he sat with us for hours and sat talking about music, and he actually had said about he said, like, I'm actually jealous I didn't write that.
And every songwriter wants to hear that.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. And he was just lovely, just normal, sat kind of the way you would, like the way we're sitting chatting. He sat talking to him, brought him a book of poetry, and Ali had made like a little candle holder. She handmade, so they brought that, and it was lovely. And then when he died, they were great support as well. They sent out flowers, and Adam came to the funeral. The rest of them weren't available, but yeah, they were lovely. They sent out a letter just to say, you know, sorry for our loss, and yeah.
It's lovely, and it's a lovely picture as well to have as well. And the rivalry, because the media love to stir these things as well. Listen, you're a musician as well. Like, is it hard, you know, to forge your own path? Or do you find you're always in the shadow of your dad?
100%, yeah. Yeah, I think people can have an opinion that you kind of get a leg up when you're with the same second name or whatever. But no, I think it can definitely be a hindrance because you're already judged before anybody hears me, whether I'm somebody's cup of tea or not. They already think it's Christy Dignam's daughter, and since I was 12 I'm gigging, and I'm trying to kind of get out of the shadow of that. At the same time, still respecting who he was and the fact that I'm proud of who he was as my dad, and as a musician, I appreciate his talent. So I don't want to kind of disregard that. But at the same time, I want to be Kiera, not just Christy Dignam's daughter, you know. And I used to mess with him because we had a kind of, the banter we'd have, I'd say, like, one day people would be saying, like, are you Kiera Dignam's dad? Rather than, am I Christy Dignam's daughter, you know. But like, it's...
What's your one memory of him? What's your favourite?
I think that I can't really one memory. It's like that, his banter and his wit. We had, like, I think all the Dignams, we have a very dark humour. So I was saying to Karen earlier, actually, sometimes, and I think a lot of people that are in the grieving process will probably relate to it, when you kind of pick up your phone to send them a message or ring them and you kind of remember. But with him, like, if I'd see a good singer, I was saying, oh, he'd love this song, or he'd love this singer, or a singer that I know he'd hate, I'd also want to send them. And we could have a little bitching session, and or like videos of like people falling, stupid things like that. I miss being able to send them, and he'd had this real belly laugh that you'd know that I was like, he'd love that video.
Yeah,
He'd love TikTok.
I know.
He'd love TikTok. Listen, you are performing with Damien Dempsey at the moment. I know that you're performing with him at Wexford Town, the Crown Bar. That's coming up on August the 3rd as well. And listen, it is a day away from his year on, and it's just so sad. But listen, it's great to see you here with a smile on your face.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks a million,
Kiera.
Kiera.
Thank
Well
you.
done.